Yes, the program is still conversation on Oluyole FM 98.5 right here in the city of Ibadan. And yes, Tola, talking about state police, local government autonomy, I saw a story that some stakeholders have put governors on the spot. Yes, giving them a kind of, yes, maybe direction that, yes, these two issues must be addressed. Although we know that the state police issue is being addressed now, but the local government autonomy issue, I don't know where it stands right now.
Well, the governors are not actually at home with local government autonomy, and we hear that they are the ones that have been frustrating the implementation. Now, some of them have been vocal in their opposition to local government autonomy. But then, and also, Bimbo, what my own take on this is that until we have INEC, the electoral umpire, conducting local government elections, determining who gets via the ballot, who gets into the seat of the local government chairman and who does not. Until then, that can have the true implementation of local government autonomy. Why do I say this? The local government chairmen themselves, the council bosses, they are also a problem because they are in the pockets of the governors. They are practically handpicked by the governors, and the state electoral commissions are the ones that conduct these elections. Those commissions are run by the governors, and it is almost always predictable who is going to win when they conduct local government elections at the state level. Of course, the ruling party at the state level who will clear all the seats, and that is the usual pattern.
But Tola, in the past years, there was no state electoral commission. It was the Federal Electoral Commission that conducts elections for all the seats of government, state government, local government, federal, and all the Senate, House of Assembly. But when it was the turn of the issue of state, local government, state electoral commissions came up, yes, it is then that this problem began.
So there were reforms, and we have what we have now. Now, the situation is that even the local government council chairman, when this autonomy was first announced, they developed them cold feet. Many of them were not willing to see it come to the light to light because they were afraid of the governors who are their principals. Many of them, they have this loyalty, this fanatical loyalty, I would say, to the governors. Even when the press, with the media, we tried to reach out to them, they ran away, they disappeared. Even Algon, they were not willing to say anything, they were not willing to talk. Algon, in the particular states, they said they were not in support. They came out brazenly
of the autonomy.
So that is where the problem is. Whereas many of them, personally, talking about their personal ideology and thought patterns now, they would gladly welcome state police, but because of the situation, they dare not oppose their principal. And like I said, some of them spoke out openly. Some of the governors, and while majority of them did not, but they knew that they were not going to let this work. And of course, it's not working as we speak. But then I think the government at the federal level should have certain measures by which they will be able to enforce this to make it work. But then, of course, you also have to think of the fact that the president is a politician. He wants a second term, and they would be needing most of the governors. Already, most of them they've come into his party, and of course, from all indications, he believes that they. At that level, the presidency, they believe that that is one of the strategies by which that will help them win the elections, win these governors to come into their party. And that wouldn't have happened if there had been a kind of subtle or direct enforcement of local government autonomy coming from the federal level. The governors then would have an axe to grind with the president. So I think that is where the problem is regarding state autonomy. But state police, I think everyone is on the same page regarding this one. And like I said yesterday, if the governors do anything to block the generation of state police, they would have to answer to their people.
It cannot be blocked now. 36 states, houses of assembly, well, governors, Labour Party, Forum of APC, all other, they have backed the constitutional amendment.
We are talking about the State House of Assembly. It's yes. Because the governors have also concurred, have agreed
that is
on
it.
state police.
Yes.
So if they don't agree, because get the state legislatures, they will not do anything against their governors.
The Senate has said until I think 26 or 20 that is of the houses of assembly are append their signatures to that bill.
Exactly what I'm saying is because the governors are on the same page regarding state police. Otherwise, you don't expect, just like the local government chairman, they are also in the pockets of their respective governors. That is what we run. That is the pattern we run in Nigeria. That is the system in Nigeria.
And I always remember talking about this local government autonomy now. I remember, I cannot vividly remember during which administration then, before this local government state joint account began. I think it was during Lamadation that it was created, former governor Lamadation. Local government
right from the military era down to the local government of Obasanjo.
They had the autonomy. Local governments performed. Yes, they performed, but some did not.
The days of zero allocation. When with the teachers were to be paid, the money to pay teacher salaries was being deducted directly from the allocation.
Yes.
And of course, that created a big problem for
yes.
many of the councils.
Councils, yes. Some local government chairmen just chopped money, in quote. Yes, they chopped money, and it even led to a situation where teachers will just come up because it was local governments that were paying teachers, primary school teachers' salaries then. And it was then that the issue of SUBEB came up, SPEB then, before it transformed into SUBEB. So I do not really blame the federal government, but well, they should now consider that development in local government, rural areas are really necessary. Yes, so that local governments can do what they should do, and that is why people must vote for credible candidates, people they know. If this eventually, comes up, the local government autonomy, because I knew then government chairman, they constructed bridges, constructed culverts, constructed roads, and all other constructed markets then, but now they are all in the hands of the various governors of the country.
And of course, foremost renowned educationist and former minister of education, is also a former ambassador of Professor Sunday Adeniro, is saying how local government autonomy would have reduced insecurity. And it says the LGAs remain dysfunctional because of the poor quality of leadership arising from the lack of autonomy from the councils. And they said functional local government areas would have minimized the worsening insecurity ravaging the country. Yes, it could have reduced it. Quoting him now, he said this is on the assumption that the affairs of such local government areas will be managed by mature, competent, experienced, and highly patriotic men and women of integrity who understand the nature and dimensions of policies and governance. You see what he's saying here, that it is who merits to be there as local government chairman that will eventually get into that seat, not he that is handpicked by the governors. So I think that's what he's trying to say there.
And I don't know what PRP is saying. He's saying that President Tinubu, it is saying that President Tinubu is trying to use the hurried passage of the bill for his own advantage, to his own advantage.
Well, I don't know how that is going to be, because it's not going to be in direct control of the police at the state level. Although I'm sure there must be a meeting point, the state police and the federal police at some point, when it comes to, especially when it comes to issues of national security importance. But let's see what the PRP is trying to say here. the People's Redemption Party (PRP) has raised concerns over plans by President Tinubu's administration to establish state police through a constitutional amendment. In a statement by its national chairman Akim Baba Ahmed, the opposition party claimed that the government's credibility and competence are at an unprecedented low in Nigeria's democratic history. Okay, going further. The party acknowledged the need for a major review and overhaul of Nigeria's security, law, and other institutions to address insecurity and strengthen citizens' confidence in leaders and critical institutions. However, it argued that the All Progressive Congress APC-led administration lacked the moral standing and public trust required to undertake a major restructuring of the country's policing system. Okay, so we should wait. People should continue to get killed until we do have, I'm quoting them now, we do have someone that will have that moral standing and have that public trust required to undertake a major restructuring of the country's system. I think sometimes when these opposition parties, when they don't have anything to say, I think they should just keep quiet. Bimbo. Now, they are saying that the president cannot be trusted with state police, and they have not said exactly how he cannot be trusted. All they are saying is that he lacks the moral, he lacks moral, whatever, blah, 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 blah. No, there's this thing that some people talk because they have to, because they have something to say, and some talk because they have to say something. Baba Ahmed just feels that he just has to say something,
so
and
that they can
and they didn't weigh his words properly before spewing them out. I think he should just hold his peace and shut up.
Well, the course became clear yesterday for the establishment of the state police. Like I said, speakers of the 36 houses of assembly have pledged to endorse the constitutional alteration bill to that effect from the National Assembly. And well, the governor said they will support amendment, the speakers rather, and also progressive speakers promise implementation. And well, Congressman, you remember that Congressman Moore,
Riley Moore.
Riley Moore, yes. He has hailed Tinubu and the Senate. He was the one that prodded Donald Trump to hit Nigeria then.
Well, it's also saying here, he says state police will protect persecuted Nigerian Christians. There he goes again. And a member of the United States House of Representatives, Riley Moore, has described Nigeria's proposed state police system as a critical tool for protecting persecuted Christians and tackling insecurity across the country. Moore, a Republican lawmaker representing West Virginia's 2nd Congressional District, made remarks in a post on his X handle following the Nigerian Senate's approval of legislation seeking to establish state-level police forces. Well, I would have felt much better if Mr. Moore had said that state police will protect every Nigerian, Nigerian persecuted by bandits, by terrorists, by kidnappers, by violent crime. But then, well, like I said, here he goes again. And then one thing that the lawmaker must understand is that state police, well, to be controlled by the governors, a commissioner of police to be appointed by the governors. So what he is saying here will only happen if we have an unbiased governor, and that is up to the people to appoint the right person to lead them. Because if you have a governor like the one who is currently in trouble with the authorities, who is currently facing trial, I think anti-graft offenses, the one who was denied a ministerial appointment by the National Assembly because he was indicted, damaged security reports about him. He ruled in a K state. The name of his state starts with the letter K and the letter A. So if you have that kind of person as the governor, I'm afraid, Mr. Riley Moore, what you are saying about the persecution of people of a particular religion or people of particular ethnic nationalities, or favoring particular ethnic nationalities over the other, that is going to be the order of the day, Mr. Riley Moore. So first and foremost, Mr. Riley Moore must understand that is up to us as Nigerians to make sure that the right people are in the seat as a governor at whatever level. So it's not about Nigerian Christians. That's my opinion here.
Yes.
It's about the Nigerian people.
Nigerian people.
And
Yes.
everybody and every law-abiding and peace-loving citizen wants to feel safe from these elements that are plaguing us, that are disturbing the peace of our dear country.
And yes, we're still talking insecurity and terrorism. The Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday directed banks, payment service banks, and other financial institutions to identify and immediately freeze assets held by terrorism financing experts. Suspects. You know, I always say that these monies, you know, being as ransom, being paid as ransom to these terrorists through banks, that banks too should not be exonerated. Now, I like this step taken by the CBN. Although the CBN too might not be directly exonerated, and the banks are to act without prior notice, ensuring that all funds, assets, and other economic resources belonging to, owned, held, or controlled directly or indirectly by the suspects are frozen. And the move followed measures imposed by the Nigerian Sanctions Committee, NIJ-SAC, and the United States Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC. The sanctions were imposed pursuant to Executive Order 13224 as amended relating to terrorism and terrorism financing. The Nigerian sanctions list has been updated as of June 18, 2026. And well, these designations constitute binding sanctions measures requiring immediate implementation by all regulated entities. The circular was signed by Oluyole for the Director, Compliance Department, CBN, yes, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the designated persons and entities are Mukhtar Mohammed Adamu Babangida, Mohammed Adamu Amajam, Abdullahi Umar Usman, Ibrahim Abubakar Adamu Chiroma, and Yakubu Ugrima Ibrahim. And well, some others are on the list.
And the enforcement of that directive must be done with eyes closed, no matter how highly placed the individual involved is, or the group, no matter how highly placed they are. And we should not wait until the United States point out a particular highly placed person before we move, before the government, before the CBN moves against that person by freezing their accounts. I also think there's a particular organization that has been designated by the Americans as the, and maybe I think United Nations too, as the third, as the world's third deadliest terrorist organization.
Yes.
And here we have refused to brand them a terrorist organization. I'm talking about the Miyetti Allah Kautahori. I also think because I make no pretense about this. I have no regrets saying this, because they themselves have come out severally to tell the world that they are the perpetrators of serial carnages where entire communities have been wiped out. And they come out openly to justify why they struck. And the governors who are of their ethnic nationality, and the former president who was also of their ethnic nationality, would also turn around to blame the governors for trying to enforce certain laws to protect their people from these rampaging killer herders. They turn around to say that it is the governor that caused whatever happened. They blame, they talk as if the killer herders are the victims, and that they have every right and justification to kill at will. So these are the kind of things I'm talking about. And the kind of freezing of accounts, I'm not impressed if it's about freezing the accounts of those who participated in the NSAS protest, if it's about freezing the accounts of IPOB and all that, until it goes round. Then that's when I would believe that the government is actually serious. And like I said, we shouldn't wait for the Americans to tell us whose accounts should be frozen.
And what to do. Now, back to your state here. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said his administration is seriously addressing the rise in banditry, kidnapping, and associated crimes across the country. Yes, that has been said for all along and over the past 40 days since these kids in Oluyole had been, abducted and we are just expecting that by the grace of God they will be maybe rescued or released. And he gave the assurance while inaugurating the newly remodeled Premier Hotel Ibadan yesterday. And Tinubu, who was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Senator George Akume, said every realistic measure, including international collaboration, was being taken to ensure that the kidnapped victims in Oluyole local government are safely rescued without harm or avoidable loss. And well, and this is as the Oyo State government yesterday approved another 24-hour extension of the curfew imposed on 10 local government areas bordering the old Oyo National Park. The Secretary to the State Government, Professor Musibao Babatunde, announced this in a memo yesterday. And the government on Tuesday imposed a 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. curfew on the affected areas for 48 hours. With the extension, the restriction will now last till Saturday, June 25. And of course, like we announced earlier, and we've been announcing, the affected local government areas are already in Ikoyele, Orelope, Igboho, Irepo, Kishi, Shaki West, that is in Shaki, Shaki East, Agwa-Modu, Atisbo, that is in Tede and Agwale, and Itesiwaju Utu, Iseyin in Iseyin, and Olorun-Shogo, Igbeti, and Atiba of Ameta in Oyo. So that is the situation right now. Yes, the SGF George Akume was in Ibadan yesterday for that inauguration of the prestigious Premier Hotel, and well, he came with the message of President Tinubu. President Tinubu was supposed to be in attendance, but he could not, and he sent the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, to represent him. So his message, part of his message, that was what I read just now.
Update on the killing of the ex-OGTV broadcaster. Says former security guard planned executed murder of ex-OGTV broadcaster, as according to the police. And I think 3 suspects have been arrested as we speak. Now, here this bimbo, we killed her to teach her a lesson. Principal suspect. And I wonder what lesson would she be learning in the mortuary or the grave if indeed you killed her to teach her a lesson. Okay, let's see. Ogun State Police Commander has arrested 3 suspects in connection to the murder of a former staff of the Ogun State Television OGTV, MS Kiton Oyeshiku, and a security guard, Pelumi Adetayo. The State Commissioner of Police, Bode Ojajuni, at a press conference on Thursday at the commanded quarters, Abeokuta, said the suspects are Shodende Olajun. Note the ages, Bimbo, and that is what worries me. Shodende Olajun Philip, 22, who is the principal suspect, Shakiruddin Ayola, 27, and Sobu Obafunjo, 36. The police boss alleged that Shodende, a former security guard of a slain broadcaster, upon interrogation, confessed to the crime and that he masterminded a death to teach her a lesson for purportedly being unfair to him while working with her. The principal suspect informed the police that they gained entry into her apartment, having overpowered the security guard and eventually snubbed life out of her. Recall that MS Oyeshiku and the guard's remains were discovered at her residence in Agodo community, an outskirt of Abeokuta, last Sunday when members of her church came visiting. Well, the Commissioner of Police said the deceased vehicle was recovered through technical tracking, having been found missing, while a forensic analysis of a handwritten note led to the identification and arrest of the 3 suspects. Now, like I said, what is happening to our youth? What is happening to our young people, the so-called Gen Z? I don't get it, Bimbo. When they run into troubled waters, it's either they kill themselves or they kill whoever they feel is to blame for their troubles. Now, if you leave our services now, okay, assuming you killed her and you got away with it, and you go into the employment of another person, if that person is also unfair to you, you would also kill that person as well.
No, I don't really believe what he's saying, that he killed that person because she was unfair to her. Because, okay, now he's saying it. That person, if it were that the person did not die, maybe they tried to strangle her or do something, at the end of the day that person survived, and we cannot hear the other side of the story now. Yes, we cannot. It is only when I say she was unfair to you. If she was unfair to you, yes, she had been unfair. Well, right. Why don't you just accost her and ask, Madam, you have been doing this
or leave her services?
Or leave her services.
Bimbo, you are saying this because you do not belong to that generation. You do not know how they think. Just like me too. Just like I'm also puzzled. And I'm saying this because it's not the first time. And then you and I, because we don't belong to that generation, we don't understand why they think and reason that way. Is it about value system decline? Is it about parenting? What makes them to think that way? What makes them not to have a conscience? What has killed the conscience of the younger generation? It's not the first time that this kind of thing is happening. So you cannot exactly doubt what he's saying, that he killed that married teacher a lesson. Remember, in this same Abeokuta, that the CBN couple that was murdered on New Year Day, yes. I think it was going to about 2 years ago now. The killers have been sentenced to death. One of them was also, I think, a former driver or whatever. And they said simply because he asked for help, instead he wanted to buy a bike to use for commercial transportation. And this boss turned down the request. And that was why he planned and came back to murder his own boss. They slaughtered the man like a ram, Bimbo. Young people around this age as well. And then they broke the head of the wife with a sledgehammer. And then to cover up their crime, they set the house on fire. They put them on their beds and set the house on fire. And then they also tried to kill their adopted son. They tied him up and then threw him into the Ogun River. But somehow he managed to escape. I think he could swim, and then he was also able to free himself from the ropes, and he was able to escape. He was one that shed further light on the incident. And the suspect, again, stupidly, while they were trying to take money from the deceased, he gave his own account details, the same account details that the salary is paid into. So it was the man. Maybe if the man had been, but then he was shocked. So he just blotted out, Lagbaja, they were masked. So that was why they decided to kill them. So I'm just saying all this, just recounting all this, but to know the extent of wickedness in the hearts of the so-called Gen Z. I mean, I do not get it, Bimbo. They fear nothing at all. They do not fear God. They do not fear human beings. They fear nothing. They respect nothing. So,
and they do not think straight. Yes, they don't think
that's
straight.
That's not to say a blanket proliferation of the so-called Gen Z generation, or whatever they call themselves. But then I'm just saying this, Bimbo, that what is happening to our younger, these are the people who are going to leave Nigeria in their hands in the future.
Yes, and all these things that are happening, it might be, as a result of the influence of some categories of drugs. Yes.
I cannot doubt that as well.
Yes, categories of drugs. That is, in fact, it is rampant all over. You will see them. They will dress in the Gen Z way, and you will see them, just using some drugs, and they will be misbehaving in the streets, along the streets,
And I'm sure in making that confidential statement to the police, I'm sure he will not still be fully aware of the impact of what he has done, of the weight of what he has done. He would just think that, okay, somebody has offended me and I can just kill at will. Yes. It's not until the law catches up with them that they begin to realize what they have done. Sometimes they do not even know that they've done anything wrong.
That's why I said they don't think straight. They don't think well.
But quickly, our time is fast spent. Some major headlines here. Federal went to review minimum wage, says Gbajabia Miller, and 70,000 naira not in tune with current economic realities. This is not like the president's spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, that said recently that he cannot see the hunger Nigerians are talking about.
Yes. Yeah, look at Gbajabia Miller. See what he's saying. He's saying the truth. And I know that Bomi is here now, and I'm sure she will be, open and be happy that something good will come at the end of the day.
And the appeal court adjourns hearing a suit against deregistration of ADC across 3 others till July. That's as CBN orders banks to freeze access of BDCs. 6 individuals over alleged terrorism financing. And Lagos again, Bimbo, 2 dead, 16 rescued as 3-story building collapses in Lagos.
Yes, Big Daddy was asking me that why a building collapses in Lagos. I said, collapsing in Lagos. I said, well, me too. I don't know why, but because most buildings they build in Lagos are most times beside the waterways. They try and push the waters, and they will now erect buildings. At the end of the day, it will collapse. Now, Big Daddy was now saying, well, it might also be due to usage of building materials, fake building materials. How do we call them? How do we refer to them? Substandard building materials. I say it is so prominent in Lagos State, especially.
No, but INEC is opening candidates nomination portal tomorrow. So I get the controversies over who and who are governorship candidates in some states will now be settled. We'll get to know. Especially here in Oyo State, the final light will be shed on who is the APC governorship candidate for instance, and who is the Accord Party governorship candidate. I think those two especially are still in some kind of contention.
Yes, the PDP and the APM candidates, those are clear. Everybody knows. Yes, to the phone lines now, 070-5555-1985 or 080-5500-9850. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you, Mr. Ojo Michael.
Yes, sir. On the issue of state police, I still want to comment on that. Now that the state assembly has moved also and go in line with the Senate and the House of Reps. Now, in other states, let me speak about other states. I live in other states. Yes, we have the state commissioner of police now. The state government, we have state commissioner of police. They are from any part of Oluyole. Yes, the only thing I want to say about that is they shouldn't have placed this thing, and they shouldn't make it political. This person is my relative, is my brother, sister, this and that. They don't they show, they make it or make. God bless you, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 070-5555-1985. That's the number to call to be part of conversation this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Judith. I'm calling from Colaba. Mr. John Michael, they made me laugh. They said they should not make a political. How do the president appoint the IG? Is it not I know this person before? How are they appointing the IG? Look, in this country, we have this peculiar character that we portray in our political offices. Everybody wants, we know how to exercise authority negatively. So that cannot be ruled out in state police stuff. But that state policing has been faulty from the beginning. I hope the Senate and the National Assembly work it out. Because the federal government is still on it. You cannot do this except you the federal influence, and they call it state police. So many irregularities there. So then, on the issue of building collapse in Lagos, it is due to not using professionals to supervise and act on a project. Yes, I can say it in Lagos State. That is what they do. Why don't building collapse in other states like this? We use collapse in Lagos State. Some people say it's because of water. It's not because of water. They encourage developers who does not have any experience in construction, but because they have money, and when they employ engineers, they employ and pay them peanuts. They employ engineers and pay them, and those engineers just work for 2 months and leave. So they change engineers, and later they say they don't need engineers. They just go and bring somebody who's a POP maker as an engineer. Employ somebody who's a bricklayer. That one will be calling himself an engineer too. So the 25 stories that collapsed in Lagos, I think 125 that collapsed 4 years ago. What did they do to the although the agent died with the owner died with the building. It collapsed when the building collapsed. But what did they do with the building? What did they do with the agent? Did they ban anybody? So that's how they do. The another issue of Gen Zs and Mr. Tola It's not the issue of Genesis. This thing has been on since when Umar bin started living. People are wicked. That's just it. No matter the age, people are just damn wicked. Maybe that person owed him some money and refused to pay, which I think is wrong. But one thing is, some people just don't know how to forgive. They are just damn wicked. But I want to commend the police. I love when police do their job with investigation, forensic, and car tracking, and they caught those guys within 2 weeks. No, 2 3 weeks. So kudos for the Ogun State Police Command, kudos for those who are involved in the investigation. So I hope those guys, the law will teach them some lessons. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Governor Seyi Makinde has extended curfew in 10 Oyo local government areas by 24 hours.
Yes, 12 hours. I think I mentioned something like that. Well, this one looks like a good news here. We were talking about petrol price that people were saying because the problem in the Strait of Hormuz, that axis is being resolved, and that the price of crude is coming down. Now there is pressure on marketers now here to cut petrol pump price. That is for Nigerians and major stakeholders, and this is coming directly from President Donald Trump. He said, well, let's just start with this. Petroleum products marketers yesterday came under intense scrutiny over alleged anti-consumer behaviors as pump price of petrol remained stubbornly high despite considerable decline in crude oil and supply prices. And the pressure is from both international and national end. In the United States, President Donald Trump yesterday said oil giants must bring down their prices quickly in response to the drop in price of oil on the international scene. And well, a survey of petrol stations in Nigeria showed that petrol price remained around 1,306 naira per liter. So that is the situation with that now. And let's hope we'll get some improvement here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. In fact, this President Tinubu is somebody that we're supposed to appreciate a lot due to the kind of the system we have been used to in terms of governance in this country. It made us not to value him now, but we will begin to very soon value him. All what the former government have found difficult to do, like state police, like autonomy of the local government, and every other policy has been trying to fix. We don't know the value now, but we will soon know it. By the time we will finish his 8 years, people that like cutting him or not know his value, they will later know what he has done to this country. Then, in terms of appointing someone that you trust into post, let me take this as an example. Assuming Tinubu did not appoint whom he trusts as the head of the security system, when they did that coup, would they not overthrow him? They will. So when you are in position, you employ somebody you trust. But what matters most is that somebody that can deliver. It's not somebody that will go there and be doing all kinds of nonsense. So that is where the life is. If you are a leader and you want to enjoy running your government, you employ people that you trust. That's the way you can deliver to your country or your state. Then about the Gen Z, see the way they are thinking, the way they live, the way they live their life, it happens from parenting. Mr. Tola, you have either said it. It happens from parenting, where it is social media that is training younger children now, not their parents. You see, a parent that go to school to fight, to beat teacher because of his son. So it's from parenting. God bless you.
Thank you. You didn't tell us your name. Regarding President Tinubu spending 8 years, that is for Nigerians to decide. That is for you and I to decide.
good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Ogungwele from Ede.
Good to have you, Mr. Ogungwele.
I want to comment on Kita's death. Concerning the boys that were complaining that she has not been fair to them, but their parents care enough to them. If they were fair enough to them, they wouldn't have become it. They wouldn't have gone to work for another person. They would have been in school by now with that age. It means parenting matters a lot in this case. Please, parents will take more care about their children. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ogungwele. They should have mothered their parents that were not fair enough to them to see them through proper education instead of blaming someone else for their misfortune. I understand the principal suspect was also was arrested on a site where he was working as a laborer. And of course, so if the site manager or the owner of the property is not fair to him, he would also kill him or her.
Kill him, yes. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Ademola from Ibadan.
Good to have you, Mr. Ademola.
On this state police, you see, certain people, the Senate, as of representatives, want the state police, so that the state police will reduce kidnapping. You see, at present, the federal police, has planned to deal with the terrorists. So the federal police should have what they should have, like more CCTV, more sophisticated weapons and others. And they should not give terrorists more targets and others. And on these petroleum prices, people want cheaper prices who are complaining. We know that President Tinubu is trying, the Tinubu-led administration concentrate on people and their welfare. So you should do the needful. So the prices of petrol, fuel, gas and others must come down.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Demola. Well, check your time is 7:30 and it's time to go. We'll be back same time tomorrow morning, God willing. My name is Tola Ediba.
And my name is Bim.